Hello and welcome to this week's OTR Love Team Time Trial Series highlight show. Today we've got 9 teams battling out as a head-to-head. But first I want to say a big shout out to Derek. Hope you're okay, and if there's absolutely anything you need, do let me know. And to start with, we'll go back to the same format we had slightly, like last week we had 5 and 4 for this this highlight show, with RTR, Koalas, Wicked, Dingoes and OTR Ultraviolet, and they're off. So now it's how quickly are the teams going to be able to manage and sort out the pace line? That's the interesting question. Can they all get together and sort out that line within the first minute? Because looking at it, you've got Koalas, Wicked, and Ultraviolet with now RTR. All getting into that pace line to a degree. Ultraviolet need to sort it out a little bit more, but OTR Wicked are there. Australia Koalas are there. RTR have been there. And for start 2 with Australia Sharks, OTR Black, 3-arm Mushroom and ASRT. Again, same question, how quickly do they get into that pace line? Let's go and find out. We have a few more riders in ASRT than we would have liked. I think we had 8 riders, but 2 of them decided that it would be a really good idea not to join in, and the team were actually asking them to please go away. So Sharks, apart from the gap, they've got a pace line, but they do need to sort that gap out. 3-arm Mushroom, unfortunately Fred had some technicals right at the beginning and dropped the wheel, so he's now 18-20 meters behind, but they still don't really have that nice pace line that you'd expect to see. OTR Black, fantastic. If you look at that, perfect, apart from Tony just losing the wheel a little bit. So let's have a look at the 5 kilometer splits. And again, here we've got a minute and a half for each. The same routine, 5 and then 4. So if we focus on, let's have a look at RTR. So last week I kept saying that RTR were all over the shop, and they were. They had riders at the front, there were huge gaps of 30-40 meters, the riders being dropped from the back. Completely different team this week, which is fantastic to see. But I think one of the key features, if you just look at who is it? So Tony at the back. As soon as you've come off your pull, you ease back. So you do 2 clicks right in this case. You ease off the back. How difficult is it to get on the wheel? So when you have a look at all the teams, they all seem to have that same problem. How do you get back on the wheel when you've done your pull? And while you're going through the highlight show, just have a look at the teams. You got Koalas there, very similar. You had the same thing with Wicked. You have the same thing with Australia Dingoes. I won't provide the times just yet, because we'll start to do that on the 10k splits. But let's have a look. And if you do more than 2 clicks, left or right, you lose that draft. So you're going to go back really quickly. You're going to have to fight that rear wheel. So again, Australia Sharks, OTR Black, ASRT, 3R Mushroom. 3R Mushroom, unfortunately they have lost Fred, so there's just 4 of them. But look at that paceline. Super, and the same for Sharks, and absolutely the same for Black. I think Rich is just pulling back in, and to a degree ASRT, but you've had the same problem of how do you get back on that back wheel of the last rider after you've done your pull. So ignore the, I think there are 2 other riders, they don't complete and they don't interfere with the race. So I don't think there's any issue with ASRT at all. I think they were concerned at the end, but they don't need to be. But paceline, absolutely outstanding from Sharks and OTR Black, and now ASRT with them back on the wheel. Mushroom, they just need to sort that out a little bit, and it will come. Now Gav at the back doesn't have any steering, so it's a bit difficult for him, and what the team have done is they work around Gav's not having any steering. But if you look at the first 5k split, you've got 3 teams in 7 minutes and 12 seconds, and Ultraviolet 7:15. That's outstanding, isn't it? On the first 5k. Right, second split. Looking at it again, Koalas, he's still got that gap with, is it Bryce? But what you found was Michelle was then helping Bryce back onto the group, so great teamwork from Australia Koalas there. OTR Wicked again, look at that paceline. Same from Dingoes, and same to a degree from Ultraviolet. And I think going forward it'd be really nice to see each of the teams pick one bike, one kit, and so you're all in the same kit, you're all on the same bike, you're all in the same helmet, you're all having the same sunglasses, and let's look professional out there. It's something Derek would pick up on every time. I know he picked up on me when I was out front, dropping the guys behind and saying how appalling it was. Yeah. So Dingo's just losing the wheel there again, so they've brought back in. Great teamwork. Australia Sharks, again working really well. Again, great to see Tristan back in, as is Scott as well, Scott Francis, who was with a different team last week. OTR Black, looking as though you've got a few gaps now between who is it? Rich, Pear, and Keith. So it looks as if Rich has dropped anyway, and Keith is bringing back Pear. I think Pear was trying to help out Rich back onto the group. ASRT, working really well. Again, it's how do you get that last man back onto the wheel? So has the times changed? So if you look at that, 3R Mushroom and OTR Black are 2 seconds apart. Shark slightly back. ASRT is pulling out a huge lead at the moment. So I think one to watch is the 3R Mushroom, OTR Black, and how do they, what happens with Sharks and OTR Ultraviolet as well, because they're quite close. There you go, 3R Mushroom and OTR Black, 2 seconds apart. But looking at Sharks and Ultraviolet, they're only 4 seconds. So let's see how that goes on the 15k splits. Ooh. and Ultraviolet did overtake Australia Sharks. So we have RTR, Australia Koalas, OTR Wicked, Australia Dingoes, and now Australia Sharks. So that'll be an interesting battle to watch throughout the rest of the race. So again, looking at the first two, so RTR and Koalas both have the same thing, the riders trying to get onto the back wheel. So I think for teams going forward, it'd be useful to see how they can solve that, and then how they can improve on the steering. And unfortunately, we had 2 people recording OTR Blue. My iPad crashed, I think 3 times, as did another rider for OTR Blue, and Gordon, his iPad stopped working 4 minutes before the race started. So unfortunately we didn't get any footage of OTR Blue, but they did a cracking ride as well. So Neil Holder just gapping slightly, but he'll pull that back. Right, so ASRT and the other riders. So I think one of the things you guys want to look at, if it's possible, is to mark your ride on RGT as private, and then when you go into RGTTB, again click on that private flag when you're registering your race in RGTTB to get your event code. That's just to ensure that it's not visible on either platform, either RGT or RGTTB, and hopefully then you'll have that reduction in the number of riders that join your race. Gav's doing a cracking job at the front with 3R Mushroom, and you've got King, Tubby, Wayne, Mikkel and JP, again teammates. I race with Wayne on Speedwagon, Wayne, Mikkel and JP also race on CCR on the VCNCC series. But looking at the times now, you've got 3R Mushroom at 21:06, OTR Black 21:17, so they put out a big lead on Black, and that's the change that we said earlier. So Sharks dropped 1, Ultraviolet have gone up by 1. It'd be nice to see how that pans out for the next set of splits. So individually, Koalas, we've got Michelle, so Dave Hayes is on the front, Matthew, then Michelle, then Wendy, and then Bryce. And they've been together as teammates for quite a while now, which is good to see. It's becoming a stronger team week in, week out for them. OTR Wicked again, really strong team. You've got Derek in the front, then Andrew, Sean, then Shane, and Andy Mack at the rear. And have we made any changes? So I don't think there are any movement in changes at the moment. Australia Sharks are 28:36, so let's see how they fare with OTR Ultraviolet after this. Yeah. 28:36. Ultraviolet, we have Jim or James at the front, Lutz, Neil, Tony, Jonathan and Adrian the back. Now it looks as though you've got Jim and Lutz just pulling out a slight gap, and that's leaving Adrian at the end, at the back. So I would assume that Adrian had a turn and he's just gone to the back of the group after his pull, and he's just trying to get back on again. For OTR Black, we've lost Rich and Keith. Maybe that was a technical on Keith's side. Not sure. Need to go back. So really close that. Ultraviolet 28:30. So 6 seconds in it. And OTR Black pulled back quite a bit on that gap. So Mushroom 28:09, OTR Black's 28:16. With a clear lead of AESRT at 27:46. An incredible job, guys. So no change so far on the 20k split. What are we going to get for 25k? And I think what we'll do is the same as before. For the finish, so the last 2 minutes of the race, I'll just leave you with the music and catch up at the end. But no one's dropped on RTR. You still have Sean keeps doing this. So looking at the race, he'll do a pull, he'll come back, and I think he's trying steering at this point. But he'll come back, and he's doing 2.2 watts per kilo. He's going to ping that up to about 3.5 to get back onto the group when he sorts out what he wants to do with his steering. But he's now got a big gap he's got to now try and close, and that's going to put the rest of the team trying to help him, or they're just dropping. Yes. So Ultraviolet have been pulled back. So Australia Sharks have overtaken Ultraviolet as well, which is very good. So the team have slowed down to allow Sean back on, and Glenn's now at the back after doing his pull, and then he's immediately got an 8 metre gap. Australia Sharks, fantastic job, guys. Unfortunately for OTR Ultraviolet, you guys have gone ahead of them at the 25k split. So who is in Sharks? So Tristan, Bo, Ben and Scott. Now Scott and Tristan were part of the Series 3 team. I'm not sure, I need to check whether Bo and Ben were both part of Series 3, but they're your Series 3 winners, everybody. OTR Black, let's see if they can pull back that 8-second gap at time between them and 3R Mushroom. But again, it's a cracking ride by 3R Mushroom. And you can see, look at that, it's down to 1 second now. OTR Black is 35.19, 3R Mushroom 35.18. And AESRT just pulling away a little bit. Their time has been brought back down to 34.52. So within 30 odd seconds of 3R Mushroom. But again, well done. And you can see that 3R Mushroom and OTR Black is 1 second difference, and that swap between Australia Shark and OTR Ultraviolet. Your 25k split. And the finish, I'll just let you guys watch. And I'll be back in a couple of minutes. Well, folks, nothing changed there at the finish, but really interesting to see we've got 4 seconds between 3R Mushroom and OTR Black. Thank you for watching. Do join next time. And again, big shout out to Derek. Hope everything's okay with you. And again, if you need anything, just let me know. Let's see how things go for race 3. Again, thanks for watching and enjoy the riding. Take care. Bye.